Good morning, boys and girls. We have the sun shining today. It's a little cold, at least right now, but I know it's going to warm up later. And then we'll be able to get outside and get some fresh air. And it's always a really good thing to do is to get outside and put your toes onto the nice grass. Always makes, and then you wiggle your toes around. Always makes us feel a little bit better. Today I have a funny story. It's called Malcolm's Runaway Soap by Joanne Bogart and Linda Hendry. So let's find out how a soap can run away. So we'll start. Malcolm's Runaway Soap. So we see Malcolm here in the backyard in a hole, and it looks really, really muddy. Now, he looks really happy in the mud, and so does the dog. So I think he's having a great old time. But I think we know someone who probably wouldn't be too happy with what he's doing. Who would that be? Does it start with the letter M? I think so. It all started with Malcolm's bath. Malcolm had been digging a hole in his backyard, and he was very dirty. His mother said he was too dirty to wait for bedtime. He would have to have a bath in the middle of the afternoon. And here he comes in the house, and Mom's going, you're not coming in the house like that. Well, the dog looked happy too. Well, said Malcolm, if I have to take a bath in the middle of the afternoon, it's going to be a good one. He filled the tub with lots of warm water. Then he played like a seal, splashing and barking and clapping his flippers. By the time he was ready to start scrubbing, the warm water had made a slippery, squishy mesh of his bar of strawberry soap. As Malcolm grabbed it to wash his very dirty knees, pop! The soap slipped out of his hands, went up into the air, and there goes the soap. And of course the door is open. It landed on the floor, slid along the tiles, and raced right out the bathroom door. The soap went past Malcolm's sleeping cat, Ralph, and went right down the stairs. And there's Mom reaching for the door. I don't think she sees the soap coming. When Malcolm's mom opened the front door to get the afternoon paper, the strawberry soap flew between her feet and went right out the front walk. Wait! Malcolm screamed. He ran down the stairs dressed in his favorite blue towel, and here he comes. Stop that soap, he hollered. Stop the soap! I don't think the soap is listening. The letter carrier saw the speeding soap, and he ran after it. Stop! She called, but the soap was going faster all the time. I've got it, yelled the policeman Dan. Reaching up, he snatched at it with both hands, but pop! The soap flew out of his hands and did a triple backflip, and it landed in the paper boy's bag. Whoop, there it goes right out of the policeman's hands. And everybody is running after him. There's Mom, and there he is in his blue towel. We got it now, said the paper boy. He made a grab for the slippery soap, but pop! It went right out of the paper boy's hands. And everybody's looking at the soap going away. The soap sailed right into a jug of lemonade Julie was setting up to sell. I don't think I'd want to drink that lemonade. Malcolm, is that your soap in my lemonade? Julie reached in to grab the pink slimy soap, but the soap was off again. I wouldn't want to drink that soap in the lemonade, even though it's only 10 cents. At the end of the block, Mr. Sanders was bathing his poodle, Fifi. on the balcony of his apartment. Splash! The flying soap dived right into Fifi's bathwater. Fifi nipped at it with her tiny teeth. Mr. Sanders almost got a grip on it, but poof! Off the soap flew again. Now, the soap then went and landed in Mrs. Abernathy's sun hat. Trapped at last, said Malcolm. Everybody stopped running and started clapping wildly. At last, the runaway soap would be caught. But Mrs. Abernathy, who didn't know she had soap in her hat, thought the applause was for her. So she blushed and gave a bow. Gently, the soap slid off the rim of her hat and fell onto a passing skateboard. And here's the edge of the skateboard just coming into the picture. Malcolm saw his strawberry soap zooming off between the electric orange running shoes. Come back, he shouted to the girl on the skateboard. She screeched to a stop, but the soap kept going. And there it goes, right off the skateboard. It flew up and into the window of a bus, stopping at the corner. A woman sat on it, and poof, the soap was off again. Nothing can seem to stop the soap. At last, it came to rest on a toy sailboat floating in the City Hall fountain. Malcolm saw his chance and he leaped into the fountain. He grabbed the soap with both hands and both feet. He washed his ears, his neck, his knees, and his ankles, his belly button. Always got to remember that belly button. And even his face. He rubbed until he had a huge, marvelous lather. He scrubbed until the strawberry soap was nothing but bubbles. He's not wearing any clothes. I don't know about that. And there are all of the bubbles, and the soap is getting smaller and smaller, and more bubbles and more bubbles. And then, when Malcolm was squeaky clean, Mrs. Abernathy handed him his favorite blue towel. Malcolm said goodbye to everyone, and Policeman Dan took him home. And there he is, all nice and squeaky clean, coming home. And he got a ride in the policeman's motorcycle. Now, if that's not a silly story, I don't know what a silly story is then. Now, you know, when I think about silly stories or silly things, this story reminds me of a silly song. One that had to do with spaghetti and a meatball. Maybe some of you have heard of that song. I don't exactly remember how it all goes, but it's something about on top of spaghetti all covered with cheese, a lonely meatball rolled away, and then it started and went on and on and on. So when you think of this kind of story, can you think of something silly that could happen at your house? Maybe it's not a bar of soap. Maybe it's a toy that just runs away. You could come up with your own silly story. Silly stories are kind of cool to come up with on your own. And of course, a story is only good when you tell it to somebody else. So if you can come up with a great silly story, tell it to your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. Tell it to anybody. You can even tell it to some stuffed animals or your dog or your cat. So stories are always better when they're shared. So until next time, take care and have a great day. Bye.